Today we'll be looking at how we can use our understanding of multiplication and the area model to divide. This addresses Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills 3.4K, which is readiness, and 3.4J, which is supporting. This example shows how a student divided 48 between three groups to find 16 in each group. The students use numbers to represent the sharing into each group. We can use our understanding of multiplication and the area model to help us divide. We still are going to take our total of 48 and share it between the three groups to find our quotient. Our area model represents the total of 48, and we will be sharing it between three groups. Instead of drawing the groups in, we're going to use our understanding of multiplication to help us identify how we are sharing our 48 between these groups. Students can continue to use a list of common compatible numbers they are comfortable with using. If we are using 10s and 5s and 2s and 1s for this example, students may use the compatible numbers they find most beneficial. If I use my compatible numbers, I could think, could I share 10 into each group? Well, if I have three groups and each group had 10, it would be, we can see here as before, 10, 20, 30, or 3 groups of 10 is equal to 30. I've taken from the 48 and shared 30 into these groups, so I will remove those 30 that we shared into the three groups. Our three groups of 10 is now represented with 3 times 10, or 3 groups of 10 is equal to 30. And we'll go ahead and subtract those away because they've been shared into the groups. We have 18 left to share. Could I share another 10 into each group? Well, if I have 3 groups of 10, it would be 30, and I don't have 30 to share. Could I share 5 into each group? Well, 3 groups of 5 would be 5, 10, 15, would be 15, so I do have enough to share. So I can think 3 groups of 5 is equal to 15. And I can show that I have shared those into the groups and subtract those away from the total. So I have 3 left to share. We can see our 1, 2, 3 groups of 5 represented in this area model. Could I share 5 more into each group? Well, 3 groups of 5 would be 15, and I don't have that to share. Could I share 2 into each group? Well, 3 groups of 2 would be 2, 4, 6. I don't have 6 to share, I only have 3. Could I share 1 into each group? If I have 3 groups of 1, 1, 2, 3, I would have a total of 3, which is what I could be sharing out. 3 groups of 1 is equal to 3, and I can remove those, showing that I shared those into the groups, showing that I have 0 left to share because they've all been shared into groups. If I go back to the partial quotients of how much did I share into each group, in this group I shared 3 groups of 10, so each group has 10. This is 3 groups of 5, each group received 5 more. And then 3 groups of 1, I shared 1 into each of the 3 groups. To find my quotient, I take my partial quotients and I can compose them back together for a quotient of 16. Yet again, we can use arrows to show that composing, or we can use the equation to show we are composing. If we take 48, divide it between 3 groups, each group gets 16. If students would like to check their work, they can see, by sharing these partial quotients into each group, does that still share out to a total, or does that still compose into a total of 48? Well, if I had 3 groups of 10, I would share 30. If I had 3 groups of 5, I would have 15. If I compose that together, I get 45. And if I shared those 3 more, I can see that by sharing 10 into each group, 5 into each group, and 1 into each group, I would be sharing a total of 48. I can use that to check to see, yes, I did start with 48 that I shared into each group. We can use our knowledge of multiplication to help us solve, and it helps us check our work to see if we shared correctly.